YouTube, what's up? Okay, so making a video. Yes. My videos are pretty much made from scratch, right off the top of my head. I don't have any like notes or anything. I just talk while I drive. It's just what I do. So I'm gonna try this. Don't know if I'm gonna upload this, but so I am Hal Jordan. I'm dropping shit. I am a flat earther. I'm a Christian, young earth, flat earther that does not believe in eternal hell. I bring that up because it's an important subject to me, so I think it's another huge deception. And you know, because the enemy wants you to hate your creator. So he tries to sell a story that's not in the Bible and tell you that your creator is going to burn you forever if you don't do what he tells you to. That's not who God is. So anyways, smiles and kisses. Anyways, so there's that, and picking up a recliner today, and some guy's selling them for like $60. Let's see, it's supposed to be Costco leather or something. It's an old one, but the leather looks like it's in pretty good condition, so I'm gonna check it out. And I haven't done any videos in a while. Did one a few days ago, but I probably won't post it. Had my ups and my downs, and but I gotta say this, you know, I grew up Mormon, and my whole life I believed that church was true. Okay, I raised my kids in it, and it's just something I believe with all my heart, because I was raised in it. My dad wanted me to be a Mormon really bad. He wanted me to go on a mission. I never did. I was a bad boy for a while until I met little Miss Donna Pippo and we got married. She's a really sweet girl, but she didn't want kids, so it lasted about 3 years, and it didn't take her but probably 2 months to get herself a full-time boyfriend after we divorced. So, matter of fact, she had a boyfriend before our divorce was even final. It's crazy, man. Anyways, so much for true love, huh? So I met my wife today, and you know, I was a bad boy. We got pregnant, and everything went great for the first 3 years. So all I'm gonna say is, my wife, I love her. She had given me my kids, but she loves to gamble, and she loves to lie about it. She doesn't love to lie about it. She just does. She can't help herself. So I've been raising my kids and my wife, and but you know, as rough as it's been on me, I just couldn't relive my life any other way at this point, just because I was making good money. I was making like $35 an hour at one point, and I got thrown off a scaffold, but stepped off of it on accident. Sometimes I say God threw me off it. I was working all the time doing scrap jobs. I mean, I got this one scrap job where I was making like $6,000 a weekend. You know, I was making a lot of money back then, and I was working all the time. I didn't have time to do anything. And when I got thrown off that scaffold, all of a sudden I had all this free time. So 9/11 was my first induction into my reality of I had no idea what was true and what wasn't. And it took me 3 years looking into young earth, because as a Mormon, you guys have to remember that we're raised to believe that the Bible is not true. We're taught that the Bible is true as far as it's translated correctly, but that the Book of Mormon is direct revelation from God. So yeah, the Bible's good, but don't believe it. If it says something that goes against the Book of Mormon, then you take the Book of Mormon, because it's scripture, right? Joseph Smith saw God, came down to him. Anyways, I had no idea what was going on with all that. I assumed because a friend of mine had seen, heard a voice. I've had certain things, supernatural stuff happen to me, and I know people, tons of people in the temple that have seen spirits in there, supposedly. So you got to remember, I was dumb to all this evil spirit stuff because the church never taught it. So when I started looking into all this other shit or stuff or crap or whatever you want to call it, all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, because I remember going to a Harry Potter movie back when it came out, and we went with a Christian kid that was friends with my younger son Braden, and he was like, well, my parents don't like me going to these magic movies. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What's wrong with that, dude? It's just because I was brought up in the Mormon church that white magic is good, black magic is bad. There is no bad magic. I mean, there's bad people, but magic itself isn't bad. So anyways, I started learning about the Bible, and it started with Kent Hovind. To be honest, after 9/11, I started going, well, I'm going to start looking into my own church, because there was some really weird stuff going on, and it seemed like the church was kind of a part of it. When I was learning about the Illuminati and stuff, I'm like, why hasn't my prophet talked out about this? I mean, he's an all-knowing man of God. Why wouldn't he be against all this? And I just couldn't figure it out. And it took me 3 years, people. It took me 3 years of learning about the Bible, and Kent Hovind taught me about young earth and all this stuff. I can't believe Kent Hovind's not a flat earther. I mean, it just hurts my family. It hurts my heart that he is not. I love that guy. But for some reason, he can't get past it. He just can't see it. I don't know why. But he should, because he could see everything else. And you got flat earthers out there talking about dinosaurs aren't real. Come on, people. Dinosaurs are not a problem. I know I push in a lot of stuff because I've been researching for so long. I've learned quite a bit about like the big trees, and plateaus, and the Bible says that the angels labored at the trees before the flood, and that the giants were cutting down trees before the flood. The Book of Enoch is pretty interesting. Make a long story short, folks, I eventually left the church, and I knew it wasn't true. I knew that Jesus was the only Savior. I knew he wasn't our brother. I knew that because the Mormons teach that you can become like God. Basically, you're an equal, which is where the whole hell myth comes from, because in hell, because in the Mormon church and some of these other religions, they teach you that your spirit is eternal, that you live forever. But Jesus says, no, you live forever in me only. You don't live forever no matter what, and then get some body, and then he's not going to just put you down and destroy you. No, you sinned for 20 years or 100 years or however long it was. You're a bad person. You need to suffer for eternity. Now, whoever thinks that's just is crazy. You guys are nuts. That's not just, and he wouldn't do that, and he doesn't do that. He gave you life. He gave you your life. You know, he gave you all of this. Everything I have is given to me by him. I get kind of mad when I talk about this because it's so many people believe this garbage. But so he gives us our life, and if he took my life tomorrow, I would thank him for the life he's given me today and everything else that he's given me, because he has every right to take what he has given to us. I'm sorry, he just does. He's God Almighty, and not only did he create us and put us on this earth, but he gives us a chance at eternal life, a very good chance, and I believe a very good chance. I think it's almost certain. I think when you sin and you do all that stupid stuff, I think a lot of that affects your life here on earth. But Jesus says you're not saved through your works. But I'm going to tell you this, it's hard to get through, but when you do what the Lord tells you to do, your life is better. It just is. You're happier. I've done both ways, and I know. I was miserable when I was doing stuff that was evil. And even though most people don't even consider it evil. But I wasn't happy. I wanted to get married in the temple. Thank God I didn't. And my journey through my, tough marriage and everything, raising my kids, I've been living for my kids for the past, 20 years. I've been just, everything I have has been just pushed into them. And they're getting older, so I don't know what's going to happen. But I love my wife, but we become like a brother-sister kind of relationship. So keep telling her that, she doesn't listen. I mean, the writing's on the wall, man. It's been 10 years, folks. 10 years. I don't need to say anything else, but 10 years. So, I'm a good husband. I do not cheat on my wife. I will not cheat on my wife. She'll know. She'll be divorced when she gets cheated on. And it won't be cheating. It'll be me moving on. So, anyways, but so what I'm trying to tell you guys is that I woke up about 2009. It's because I got hurt, and because I got hurt, I had time on my hands for the first time in my life. I actually had time to do something other than try to kill myself trying to make a living. We got a couple $100,000 on a thing, on a lawsuit and some stuff that was going on when I got hurt, and we came down here and bought a house, paid cash for a house, not a very expensive one, but we got one. It's worth about $90,000 now. We paid $50,000 for it, so we got that cashed out. So that's about all I own, though, and that's it. I've been here ever since, but it's given me a chance to really deep dive into stuff. And I started using my time as wisely as I could. I mean, I do play games and other stuff. I'm a human, man. I'm not perfect. I'm not some holier than thou guy that walks around doing prayer service every day. I'm a human being that makes mistakes, and I'm living my life the best I can. And I want true love, like everybody. But maybe it ain't meant for me in this life. I don't know. Maybe I'll find it in the next. But, well, I will through Jesus Christ. But we're meant to have it here too, folks. We're meant to have joy. But, you can't control what other people do. So, anyways, I got my Flat Earth shirt on. See? When I need a good laugh, I listen to a baller. Anyways, my son got me this. My middle son, Jeremy. So yeah. So I started learning. The Flat Earth was the last thing I got into when it was around 2015, I believe. It was right when it first started. I remember Skiba was going back and forth on it a lot, and I used to go into his comment section and be like, dude, make a decision. Either you believe this or you don't. Quit trying to kowtow to everybody. Just go for it, dude. Quit. And it took him like 2 years, man, before he finally just went all in. I mean, he was really on the fence. I mean, it's a tough thing for some people. But I know he believed it. That was the problem. I knew he believed it, but he didn't want to say anything because of public scrutiny. We got to get past that, people. I'm on Facebook all the time. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. I mean, they do. You got all these guys, hey, tell me how wide the earth is. And all this other stupid questions they ask. Not because they're curious, because they're smart ass. Every question is from a smartass every time. If somebody was really curious about flat Earth, they would go on this thing called the internet. It has unlimited, fettered access to whatever you want, and they would start looking into things and researching things and going, well, what's Antarctica? Let's check that out. Blah blah blah. Antarctica's a desert. I mean, I could tell you so many things you don't probably even know. Like Antarctica is a desert. Antarctica gets 2 inches of snow every year. Did you know that? 15,000 feet of ice, though. The North gets up to 7 to 8 feet of snow a year, to 10 feet. But the South gets 2 inches. But they're supposed to be exactly the same. I mean, Antarctica is the highest average elevation of any continent on the Earth. 3,500 feet higher elevation than any other continent on the Earth. It holds everything in, people. There's an ice wall, plus there's dirt that holds everything in, and a force field of some sort after that. So, he's God, man. Okay? It's just like when you guys are saying that ships go upside down, you say gravity. Well, we don't have the answers to God's almighty, knowledge either. Not everything. And when there's something we can't explain, we say God, because that's who did it, and he's the one that knows, and we just know it to be true because he says it is. And because the truth is provable and testable. So, yeah, I mean, it's, maybe all this started because I gained so much weight. I was a big fat ass. But it wasn't because of that, because I'm going way off subject here. So anyways, so yeah, I started looking into flat Earth, guys. I mean, there's stuff everywhere about that, and that I don't know how any Christian cannot believe it. I don't get it. The Mormons, I get why they don't, because in the Book of Mormon it says there's planets, which proves that the Nephites, right? Joseph Smith was visited by an angel, of course. Sure he was. It was an angel, a fallen angel, because the fallen angels were released around that time, and the technology started going crazy, right? And Joseph Smith gets visited by an angel? And whose progeny came to America that were white and big? Nephilim? Oh no, yeah, the Nephilim did. They were escaping. There was whole armies that were getting taken out by one angel. I can't remember which one, but one of God's angels took out 200,000 giants. Okay, and a lot of them fled, and they went to South America. And there's just so much. And then in South America, they've got writings about them. They actually claim to found skeletons of giants that were like 30 feet tall over there. And it says in their writings that these beings from the sky came down and destroyed them. So yeah, so basically the Indians have all kinds of stories and lore about them. They used to hold their hand up like this and say, "How? Count your fingers. If you had 6 fingers, you were dead," because they knew you were a giant or the son of a giant or in a tribe of giants. And the giants were killing and eating people. So it's everywhere, guys. So, and it's funny because Joseph Smith talks to a fallen angel that wants a false book written about the Nephilim coming over here, the Nephites. Don't you see the Book of Mormon? The main group that ends up getting wiped out are the Nephites, the Nephilim. I'm telling you, it's crazy, man. It all started adding up. It was like, what the hell? Joseph Smith was visited by like these fallen angels, and he was a Freemason anyway, so he knew all this crap. Anyways, the Freemasons, this is their religion. They worship these fallen angels. So the whole Mormon church is based on a lie. And they can do everything right, and all they have to do is say, Jesus is your brother, and you can be a god, and boom, you are a Luciferian. That's it. You can do everything else right. You can be a perfect person and just say Jesus is my brother, and I'm going to be a god, and you are no longer saved. The church is no longer true. It is now a Luciferian church. That's why it's so tricky. That's why Trump is a part of this and nobody can tell, because he's doing good things. The devil is not. My mom used to tell me the devil is probably a very handsome guy that everybody would love. Okay? But he hates you and he wants you dead. He's getting destroyed, people. He was meant to live forever. He was the covering of God. So, there was a rumor going on that I heard a video about this one guy. It was just speculation, but he said since Lucifer was actually in the throne of God and God's covering, that he might have actually been able to fool the angels into believing that he could somehow overthrow God because he knew some secret shit. See, that's all the Masons are. Jesus gives you knowledge. I'm the truth, the light, and the way. Follow me. There's no other way but me, right? Everybody gets it. Everybody knows this. It's funny because Christians go, don't preach flat earth, preach Jesus and his saving. I'm sorry, preachers, but everybody understands that everybody. There is not a tribe on this earth or a person that doesn't understand that Jesus saves. Now, there's a lot of people that don't believe it, though. That's the problem. So, if you have that, then what's the best way to get people to believe such a thing? Well, get people to believe in his book. Flat Earth helps you do that. But the funny part is, even the Flat Earth has tons of these Luciferians in it that deny Christ. Oh my gosh, it's crazy, people. It's crazy. But anyways, I'm going to make this video short, guys. I just wanted to do like the starter, just so you know where I'm coming from. And for anybody that does not believe the earth is flat, I can tell you right now it's because you have not researched it. Okay? That's it. And to you like minds out there, I'd like to say that they're everywhere, but they're not. Man, I don't know hardly any Christians that have my take on hell. Most people think I'm going to hell because of it. Just because I believe that God is a fair, good God. I mean, you think about that. No atheist would exist if the truth about God was known, that hell isn't real and none of that crap's real, because they couldn't hate him anymore. They'd be like, well, what's going to happen if we do bad stuff? Well, you're going to die and never wake up again. What? Well, isn't that what you believe anyways, that you're just going to die? Well, yeah, I guess. I actually finally had one atheist tell me, you know what, your take on it is, it's kind of a wash. It really is. Yeah. I mean, sure, God's wrath is he created you to live forever. And his wrath is that you're not going to live forever. And if people that don't think that is enough punishment are evil themselves, in my mind, because they're actually wishing that basically in their mind they're okay with taking people that don't believe in Jesus, dragging them out of a store or dragging them out of their house, pouring gasoline on them, and lighting them on fire, and then somehow using satanic magic, you would keep them alive, or godly magic, or however you want to put it. Then you would keep them alive, they would writhe in pain, and then you would times that by a gazillion centuries, and after a gazillion centuries went up, this one preacher said, after billions and billions of years, you finally climb to the top, and you're burning, and you're in writhing pain, and you say, God, forgive me. He takes his finger and he pushes you back down to the bottom. That is insanity. And if that's true, we should all gather together and fight him. Come on, peeps. You wonder why people hate him. You wonder why there's coalitions out there and governments trying to take him down and believing all these stupid angels because they think they're going to go to hell. Even Christians are terrified of it. This one guy was talking about how in the old days people knew they were saved, and when the Romans would come after the Christians were such vicious fighters because they were not afraid to die. But Christians nowadays are terrified to die. They're not quite sure they might go to hell. And the ones that believe in hell, they are so icky. It's so disgusting to watch them talk. Oh, I love Jesus, blah, blah, blah. Oh, everything they do is constant, like, methodical. They're just controlling everything they say, especially to other people. Probably when they're by themselves, they probably act like idiots, but when they're talking to you online, or they're like, oh, well, I love Jesus, I'm not going to hell. I mean, they're okay with it because they're not going. That's not a Christian, man. Oh my gosh, that's terrible, people. So anyways, that's when I was asking about that. That was why it was such a big subject for me, because I've met like-minded people, but if they have a problem with that, then I have a really hard time getting past it, because it's just such an awful view of my Creator, and I really have a hard time dealing with that. So, but it's not biblical, guys. That's what I'm saying. It's not biblical. There is an argument going on about it. It's not some settled thing that hell's real and that everybody's going to get burned. There might be a holding place where you go temporarily. I don't know. There could be, especially for people that do horrific things like kill children and stuff. And all you people that have had abortions out there, you better pray there's not a hell. I'm just saying, man, even for those people, even people that are the worst of the worst, they don't deserve eternal torture. Even the devil's going to get death, guys, and he's been alive for 7,000 years. If anybody deserves it, he does. But why would God allow him to live? No, he's not going to live. When he's talking about forever, he means they're going to, like in the thing it says, you will writhe in pain and you will not sleep, or whatever, right? What they're saying is you're never going to go, you don't sleep when you're dead. You're dead. So he's saying you're going to be in pain right up until the point where you're dead, and then you're not going to sleep ever again or do anything. You're not going to do anything people that are alive are doing. Because anybody that's saved through Christ will have a body made through Christ that is beyond pain and all that stuff. Jesus isn't going to go out of his way to make you a body just so he can torture you. That would be terrible. And I'm sorry if you are okay with that. Then you can't love that God. It's impossible. You cannot love a God that would torture you forever, that would torture any of his image, especially. I'm not going to judge him on some stuff, but his image, guys. He created us in his image. And you think that he's going to, and we're forced into this life, okay? I love my life, and I'm glad I'm here. But I didn't choose it, and neither did you. Neither did anybody. And you're going to tell me that I was born into this world kicking and screaming, and if I don't do everything right, God's going to, torture me forever? You guys, that's not even common sense, okay? That is a Greek myth. The Greeks believe that. Hades, hell, all that stuff comes from the Greeks. I'm sorry. It's not real, okay? There's an underworld where the dead go, and maybe there's a place, but as far as we know, they sleep. There's a few scriptures, but they're parables, guys. They're parables. There's a guy called Unlearn the Lies. He explains all this. And if you look into it and you look at both sides and you use a little common sense, you'll understand that your God is a kind, good God. Even though taking someone's eternal life is pretty bad, I would say, but torturing them forever is just horrific. I mean, it's terrible. It's not just, okay? You don't have to be a God to know that. You can't be like, oh, well, God's all-knowing. And we're not 10 gods, okay? We're people. And Jesus says, fear not man who can kill the body. Fear God who can kill the body and the soul. So you were created by him, and if you choose to not be in his presence, you will die, because there is no life without him. Anyways, I'm always angry, huh? Anyways, you guys, anyways, so I've got issues, man. I'm a hot mess. I got all kinds of stuff I'm working on, guys. But I try to be a good husband. Or a good brother, or whatever. I laugh, but it's not funny. You just have to laugh sometimes, because if you don't, you'll just cry all the time. So, and that's about it. I guess that's all I got. I might post this video. Let's see. Love y'all. Do your research. Don't believe anything I say. I'm not a prophet. I'm just a guy that found the truth. And I thank God every day that He opened my eyes and I was able to see. Because some of you people that have been Christians your whole life and you've always believed the same thing, I think that's what got me to believe, to be able to bend and learn new things, is because I had to break out of the Mormon church. And once I did that was, you don't realize how hard that was. I cried. I literally sat and cried for an hour the day it hit me that church was not true, and I knew it. And I just couldn't, my head couldn't believe it. I was just in disbelief. But it was funny, it just hit me one day. I was doing some research and it just slapped me across the face. The missionaries came by to see how we're doing. I was like, guys, I get that you believe this stuff, but if I was to keep going in the church, I'd be held accountable. I says, none of this is true. You guys are part of the Freemasons, and I could sit here for hours and talk to you guys about everything that's wrong, but you're not gonna get it until you do. You see, people have to find their way, like the flat Earth. There's no meme or anything that's gonna make someone think the Earth is flat. There's nothing I can say to anybody that's going to make them think the Earth is flat. But I can plant a seed. And if I plant a seed, somebody might... That's what happened to me. Some guy just wrote the Earth is flat. And somebody did it. I don't know who that person was. I can't remember. But that person woke me up. That person got me to go, Earth is flat, whatever. I was like, man, what an idiot. I know the Earth isn't flat. Because at that point, I was looking into meteors and all kinds of fun stuff in outer space, right? And I was okay with that, because God could create outer space, right, if He wanted to. But the point is, guys, He didn't. Okay, the truth matters. Okay, God did not create outer space. He created this earth and everything above us are lights, and that's it. So but yeah, man, I'm just glad I got out of my church, and I got out of my own head, even though my parents were telling me not to. I had to do what was good for my family, and thank God I was not that good of a Mormon. So, and my family, didn't take them to church that much, so I sat them down and we started doing some studies together, and all my kids are flat earthers now. Even my wife is, kind of. But she just doesn't really care either way. I mean, she's like, well, it could be flat, I guess. I'm like, why don't you look into it? She won't do it. I'm just telling you guys, this is what I do all day long. I sit online, do memes, and I do more research, and I'm always finding out something new about it or whatever. There's always something to find out new about it. Operation Fishbowl, I mean, there's just so much. But my wife's never done it, so it doesn't matter if someone near you believes it. You can't just take their word for it. You have to find out on your own, guys. You have to. And if you don't, you'll never know. And God kind of, I guess, all this technology and stuff, we couldn't have been fooled without it, the technology. So God took the technology and used it against Him and allowed us, and they screwed up with the internet. They did. The internet was not supposed to be a free place where you go look up anything, okay? But it got out of their control, and I think that's because God's hand was in it. And He said, nope, you have to give these people a way to figure this stuff out if they want to, and He did. And it's the internet. So anybody that doesn't think the internet is a good place to learn something, you are just, you're being stupid. I mean, what better place? What, a library? So you can read some books somebody else wrote? Come on, man, you can triple check, quadruple check, you can look things up. Yeah, 90% of what's on the internet is BS, but 10% of it is true. And you got to wade through all that. And you have to do your research, and you have to do it well. But you can do it. And you can do it sitting in a chair at home. You couldn't do it back in the 80s or the 90s like that. So these deceptions were created by technology, and God is using, and you need to use technology to free yourself of them. So that's it, man. That's my video for today. And I love you guys, and have a good one, man. I'm out. Jesus is the Christ. Hell is not real. The earth is flat. And God is just wonderful, man. He's a great guy. And I'd like to say I know him well, but I just see him. I see him in his creation, people. And I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing to see. But you got to have eyes to see, guys. I love you.